In China, the idea of impossible is gradually being shattered by massive projects that push far beyond conventional limits. From an entire city of ice and snow carved from thousands of blocks of natural ice, to a massive drone formation lighting up the entire night sky. And an enormous ancient fortress still standing in the middle of a modern city. Everything you've just seen is completely real, yet it looks almost impossible to believe. Seen only through a screen, many of these structures could easily be mistaken for something created by artificial intelligence. Stay with us until number 10 to see an aquarium that set world records with some of the largest load-bearing viewing panels on the planet. This is the longest system of defensive walls ever built by humans. Its total length exceeds 21,000 kilometers. That's more than halfway around the Earth. Even if you walked 30 kilometers every single day, it would still take nearly 2 years to cover that distance. This is the Great Wall of China. The enormous structure was built to defend China's northern frontiers and control important routes. In many sections, high mountains and steep slopes were also used as natural barriers. Construction continued for more than 2,000 years, from fortifications built during the Warring States period, through the Qin and Han dynasties, and later to the massive building campaigns of the Ming dynasty. No trucks, no modern cranes. Over the centuries, an enormous labor force was mobilized. The brutal work also cost the lives of countless people. Today, places once built to keep enemies out now welcome visitors from around the world. You can walk along the wall, pass through watchtowers, and climb the steep slopes yourself. Just walking up here is exhausting. It's difficult to imagine how people once transported such enormous amounts of building material into these mountains. Four rounded buildings expand outward through the middle. Their floors follow continuous flowing lines. There are almost no sharp corners or large flat surfaces across the entire complex. Galaxy SOHO stands in central Beijing, with a total floor area of around 330,000 square meters. The space is used for offices, shops, restaurants, and entertainment. Step into the courtyards between the buildings, and you'll see multiple levels of balconies curving around the open spaces. They stack one above another. Bridges cross between the buildings at different heights, creating direct connections between separate areas. This futuristic design actually developed from the traditional Chinese courtyard. Instead of rectangular buildings surrounding a single courtyard, Galaxy SOHO brings 4 volumes together and extends its open spaces vertically. Rows of palaces, towers, and massive walls all light up at once. They look like a fully built city, except for one thing: the main construction material here is ice. Harbin Ice and Snow World is rebuilt every winter in Harbin. For the 2024 to 2025 season alone, the outdoor area covered more than 1 million square meters and used around 300,000 cubic meters of ice and snow. The clear ice is harvested from the Songhua River once the frozen surface becomes thick enough. Massive blocks are cut out, transported to the construction site, then sawed, carved, and assembled into structures that can rise tens of meters high. River ice is also preferred because it is strong enough and well suited for carving. Every winter, visitors come here to walk between enormous ice structures, enjoy snow attractions, and watch the entire complex light up after dark. To build one previous edition of the park, more than 10,000 people worked for nearly a month. And every winter, the entire process begins again to create a completely new version. A train runs straight into the middle of a high-rise building. Seconds later, it emerges from the other side. This happens every day in the heart of Chongqing. Liziba station occupies the 6th through 8th floors of a 19-story building. Line 2 of the monorail passes directly through this section. The city has steep terrain and very limited flat land. Buildings are also packed tightly together. Instead of demolishing the entire building or rerouting the railway, engineers integrated both structures into the same location. From the outside, the tracks appear to rest directly on the building. In reality, the 6 monorail support columns have their own load-bearing structure and are separated from the building by around 20 centimeters. This gap helps reduce vibrations transmitted directly into the residential areas. The trains also run on rubber tires combined with an air suspension system. This significantly reduces noise as they pass through. What was originally designed to solve a shortage of space has now become a tourist attraction. An observation area covering around 1,367 square meters has been built below, giving visitors a clear view of the monorail entering the building. The two terminals spread outward into multiple branches. Their shape was inspired by the sun and immortal birds motif from the ancient Shu culture. Together, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 have a total floor area of around 710,000 square meters. Chengdu Tianfu International Airport began operations in 2021 with 3 runways. The two terminals are positioned close together to reduce walking distances. From the security checkpoint to the farthest boarding gate, the distance is only around 600 meters. Directly below are both a metro system and high-speed rail. The railway station sits around 25 meters underground. The high-speed line passing through the airport is designed for speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour. To prevent passengers above from being affected, a dedicated vibration isolation layer sits around 8.5 meters beneath Terminal 1. Nearly 1,000 steel spring units are installed here to reduce vibrations traveling upward from the high-speed railway. By stacking these systems vertically, multiple forms of transportation can operate within the same major hub. A massive sphere rises between the sweeping curves of the building. Its base is almost completely hidden from view. Standing below, it can feel as though the entire structure is floating. Inside is actually a planetarium theater. Shanghai Astronomy Museum covers around 38,000 square meters. When it opened in 2021, it was the world's largest astronomy museum by building scale. The exhibition spaces contain more than 300 objects and experiences. More than half allow visitors to interact directly with them. The collection also includes around 70 meteorite specimens. One of them weighs 21.4 kilograms. It fell on Changxing Island in Shanghai in 1964. Another specimen came from much farther away. It's real lunar soil brought back to Earth by China's Chang'e 5 mission. The sample is displayed here inside a crystal sphere. Thousands of points of light fill the sky above Chongqing. They constantly shift position, creating enormous images across the city's skyline. The Chongqing Drone Light Show began running regularly in 2025. During a single performance, around 3,000 to 5,000 drones can take off together above the city's 2 rivers and 4 riverbanks. All of them are managed through a coordinated control system. Every drone has to reach the correct position at exactly the right moment. The performance area also lies within the protected airspace of Jiangbei Airport. Chongqing's complex terrain and dense urban environment create multiple sources of interference, so both signals and airspace have to be tightly controlled. In June 2025, the scale increased to 11,787 drones. The performance set a Guinness World Record for the largest aerial image formed by multi-rotor drones. More than 100,000 people watched the record-breaking performance in person. Water is pumped to the top of 6 structures, rising between around 26 and 39 meters. From there, it flows down their surfaces, creating enormous curtains of water in the middle of the urban landscape. They're known as the Towers of Life, located above the SKP-S section of Chengdu SKP. These aren't natural waterfalls. All 6 are artificial structures designed to combine water, light, and architecture within a single system. After dark, the lighting changes color, making the flowing water glow along with it. Beneath these water towers is a completely different environment. Around 99% of Chengdu SKP's built space lies underground. So instead of a massive shopping complex rising above the city, most of the development almost disappears from the skyline. The retail spaces are located in the sunken areas below. Above ground, the landscape is dominated by parkland, open spaces, and the 6 Towers of Life. The structure stretches horizontally across the landscape, with glass covering most of its exterior. New Century Global Center is around 500 meters long, creating an enormous facade in the heart of Chengdu. Its total floor area reaches approximately 1.7 million square meters. Inside are shopping centers, offices, hotels, movie theaters, and multiple entertainment areas. The building is even large enough to contain Paradise Island Water Park, complete with an artificial beach and a wave pool entirely indoors. The roof and massive glass surfaces bring natural light deep into the interior. Large atriums also help connect the different levels. With an area equivalent to hundreds of soccer fields, New Century Global Center operates almost like a miniature city contained within a single building. A massive whale shark sculpture rises above Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. Directly beneath it is the largest aquarium area in the park. Inside, the main tank contains around 22.7 million liters of seawater, providing a habitat for whale sharks and thousands of other marine animals. Visitors watch them through a massive acrylic panel nearly 40 meters long and more than 8 meters high. When the park opened in 2014, this viewing window set a world record for the largest aquarium window of its kind. Continue farther inside, and a transparent dome places you directly beneath the tank. Rays and schools of fish can swim right above your head. To maintain this enormous environment, a treatment facility covering more than 4,000 square meters operates continuously behind the scenes. Water is filtered, monitored, and circulated to maintain stable conditions for the animals. The entire volume of the tank can pass through the treatment system in around 110 minutes. Around 310 tons of fresh seawater are also added or exchanged within the system each day to maintain water quality for the animals. From the outside, it looks like a massive shopping center in Chongqing. But what makes the ring different is hidden right between the floors of the building. Walk through the shopping areas, and you'll find a tropical forest growing through multiple levels inside. This area is called the Twilight Forest. Large trees, low shrubs, and multiple layers of vegetation fill a space rising tens of meters high. Nearly 300 varieties of tropical and subtropical plants have been brought into this environment. At the center of the garden is an artificial waterfall around 20 meters high. Water cascades through different levels of the landscape, while balconies and walkways wrap around it at multiple heights. Keeping this much vegetation alive indoors requires continuously controlled conditions. Temperature, humidity, and lighting are regulated, while supplemental lighting operates whenever natural light isn't sufficient. A massive roof stretches across rows of tracks and platforms. Chongqing East Railway Station was built as a multi-level transportation hub, bringing multiple flows of movement together in one place. The station has 29 tracks and 28 platform faces, allowing multiple trains to operate at the same time. Inside the main hall, 16 massive columns rise upward before branching out. Their design was inspired by the yellow jujube tree, a symbol of Chongqing. These tree-like columns support a roof structure covering around 73,000 square meters, creating an enormous hall with fewer support points below. Operations are also supported by more than 100 smart applications. They monitor passenger flows along with conditions such as temperature and humidity, helping coordinate the station in real time. Technology even extends to the exterior canopy. Photovoltaic glass is integrated into the surface, providing shelter from the weather while generating electricity directly at the station. Container yards stretch along the coastline, with massive cranes standing in rows beside enormous cargo ships. Yangshan Deepwater Port was built offshore from Shanghai to reach waters deep enough for large container vessels. Part of the port was designed to operate with a very high level of automation. This section was built on reclaimed land around a group of islands, covering approximately 2.23 million square meters and containing 7 deepwater berths. When a ship docks, cranes unload containers onto the terminal. Automated guided vehicles pick them up and transport them to the storage yard without drivers. There, automated cranes move each container into its assigned position. The entire process is connected to ITOS, a central system that assigns tasks and coordinates equipment. Staff can monitor multiple operations from a control room instead of directly operating each machine on the terminal. The main cargo handling equipment also runs on electricity. As a result, most of a container's journey from the ship to the storage yard can take place automatically. The tower narrows as it rises, then expands dramatically near the top, creating a silhouette unlike most conventional skyscrapers. Grand Lisboa rises around 260 meters above Macau. Its curves were developed from the shape of the lotus, the symbol of the city. To create the dramatically flared upper section, multiple floors extend beyond the main structure, with some sections projecting more than 20 meters outward on both sides. Lower down is the elliptical casino structure. Its exterior is assembled from thousands of triangular glass panels and incorporates more than 59,000 LED lights. After dark, they can change colors and create moving effects across the entire facade. The hotel occupies the tower, while the casino and entertainment areas are concentrated mainly in the podium below. Grand Lisboa was deliberately designed to look different from Las Vegas-style casinos. The developers wanted a building with a distinct Macau identity, so its unusual shape wasn't created simply to attract attention. The road constantly changes direction as it climbs the mountainside. Near the top, sections of the bridge even stack across 3 levels, making the route look as though it's curling around itself. This is Tianlong Mountain Road. The entire route stretches for around 30 kilometers, with an elevation difference of approximately 350 meters between its starting and ending points. Along the way are 4 viaducts and 1 tunnel. The 3-level bridge wasn't shaped this way simply for appearance. The 2 sides of this section differ in elevation by more than 50 meters. Instead of forcing vehicles straight up a steep incline, engineers extended the route through a series of curves to gain elevation gradually. This keeps the maximum gradient on the bridge at only around 4%. The steep terrain made transporting machinery and construction materials to the site extremely difficult. Even so, the main section of the road was completed in around 5 months, with nearly 3,000 people involved. Those curves may look like a racetrack, but they're actually an engineering solution that turns a dramatic change in mountain elevation into a road with a much more manageable gradient. "22 glass ribbons wrap around the building, like skating trails stretched through motion." This visual effect is what gave the National Speed Skating Oval its nickname, the Ice Ribbon. The venue was built for the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. Inside is a standard 400-meter speed skating track surrounded by a vast interior with seating for around 12,000 spectators. The stands wrap around the rink, while the roof spans the large space above without requiring rows of columns through the competition area. This keeps sightlines toward the track open from many parts of the arena. Beneath the ice is a carbon dioxide refrigeration system that helps maintain a consistent surface temperature. Heat generated during the cooling process is also recovered to produce hot water and support the building's operations. From the outside, the entire complex looks like one massive stadium wrapped in a white steel lattice. But beneath that outer shell are actually 3 separate sports venues. Shenzhen Bay Sports Center combines a stadium, an indoor arena, and a swimming facility within a single complex. The enclosing steel structure also gives the venue its nickname, the Spring Cocoon. The main stadium has around 20,000 seats. The stands surround the competition area and can accommodate both sporting events and large-scale gatherings. The exterior lattice connects the different buildings into one unified structure without completely enclosing them. Openings between the steel framework allow natural light and air to reach the spaces below. The three venues also share many common spaces and infrastructure, making the entire complex more flexible when switching between different uses. After the 2011 Universiade, it continued hosting sports, performances, and major events instead of serving only a single international competition. A massive steel frame rises straight into the sky, nearly as tall as a 50-story building. The entire center is left completely open, making it look like an enormous ring on the skyline. This structure is the Ring of Life in Fushun. The steel ring has an average diameter of around 157 meters and uses approximately 3,000 tons of steel for its main structure. Early plans considered adding recreational activities inside, including bungee jumping, but those ideas were ultimately never carried out. As a result, the Ring of Life has almost none of the practical functions of a conventional building. Its enormous scale serves one primary purpose: to stand as a landmark for Fushun's new urban district. A massive opening cuts through the top of the Shanghai World Financial Center, making the upper section of the tower look almost split in two. The entire exterior is covered in glass, with large flat surfaces gradually narrowing as they rise. This makes the building appear slimmer and sharper toward the top. At a height of 492 meters, wind creates enormous pressure on the structure. The trapezoidal opening allows air to pass through, helping reduce the force acting on the upper section. But wind can still cause the entire building to sway. That's why two counterweights are installed near the top, each weighing 150 tons. They move in the opposite direction to reduce the motion felt by people inside. The spaces below are divided among offices, a hotel, and observation areas. The transportation system alone includes dozens of elevators carrying people through more than 100 floors. And the structure that keeps this nearly half-kilometer tower standing is completely hidden underground. Around 2,200 piles form the foundation, with some extending as deep as 78 meters below the surface. The floors gradually shrink as they rise, creating a series of stepped sections around the tower. Jin Mao Tower stands around 420 meters tall with 88 floors. Its form was developed from the architecture of traditional Chinese pagodas. The number 8, a symbol of good fortune in Chinese culture, appears throughout many of the building's proportions. Its concrete core is surrounded by a structural steel system, while the exterior combines glass, stainless steel, and aluminum. At the 88th floor, the experience moves completely outside the building. A glass walkway runs along the edge of the tower more than 340 meters above the ground. It's around 60 meters long, only 1.2 meters wide, and has no handrails at all. Visitors wear safety harnesses connected to an overhead rail system. They can walk along the edge, sit down, or lean outward while the safety equipment holds them in place. When it was completed in 1999, Jin Mao was the tallest building in China. Although it was later surpassed by even taller structures, it remains a landmark from the early years of Shanghai's skyscraper boom. At Harbin Opera House, it's difficult to tell where the walls end and the roof begins. The white exterior continuously rises and falls, connecting the two main volumes into one seamless form. The building sits beside Harbin's wetlands. Its exterior is covered with white aluminum panels, broken up by large sections of glass. To create these curved surfaces, the metal panels had to follow a steel framework with complex geometry. In many areas, there are almost none of the long straight lines found on conventional buildings. In some places, the outer shell rises into the roof. Elsewhere, it gradually descends toward the ground and transforms into outdoor steps. Visitors can follow those same curves to climb onto the building itself. The staircase continues along the roof and leads to an elevated viewing area, turning the exterior shell into a space people can actually use. Beneath this entire sculpted form are around 79,000 square meters of space inside Harbin Opera House. Vast streams of water run across plains, cities, and mountain regions. But most of the route they follow wasn't created by nature. The South to North Water Diversion project was built to transfer water from southern China to drier regions in the north. The entire network consists of multiple canals, tunnels, reservoirs, and water transfer structures extending across numerous provinces. One major route alone stretches for more than 1,400 kilometers. Much of the water can flow northward using differences in elevation, rather than relying on pumps throughout the entire journey. The network now delivers water to many major cities and communities across northern China, supporting households, agriculture, manufacturing, and industry. Instead of building just a single dam or pipeline, China created an entire water transfer system stretching for more than 1,000 kilometers to redistribute water between regions separated by enormous distances. Massive torrents of water blast from the dam, creating white columns that shoot for tens of meters. At times, they turn muddy yellow as they carry enormous amounts of sediment. Xiaolangdi Dam was built on the Yellow River. The dam stands around 160 meters high, while the reservoir behind it has a total storage capacity of approximately 12.65 billion cubic meters. Beyond flood control, water supply, and power generation, the dam also performs another unusual task: managing sediment. The Yellow River carries an enormous amount of sediment. If it accumulates over time, it can gradually reduce reservoir capacity and contribute to build up farther downstream. To limit this problem, the dam's outlets are operated to create powerful flows capable of carrying sediment farther down the river. Water and sediment regulation has been carried out at Xiaolangdi since 2002. Across multiple operations, the main river channel downstream has been lowered by an average of around 3.1 meters. Two yellow bridge towers rise on opposite sides of the river, supporting massive bundles of cables stretching across the water. Between them, the Yangsigang Yangtze River Bridge crosses the Yangtze with a continuous main span of up to 1,700 meters without any supporting piers in the main navigation channel. The bridge deck isn't limited to a single level. Instead, it is divided into two separate levels. The upper deck carries 6 lanes of high-speed traffic. Directly below are another 6 lanes for urban traffic, along with paths for cyclists and pedestrians. Together, the two levels carry multiple types of traffic across the river on the same structure. To support such a long deck, the main structure uses a steel truss system welded into an integrated unit, rather than assembled with traditional bolted connections. This was also one of the project's major engineering innovations. The main cables were designed for a service life of around 100 years. And once the bridge was completed, replacing them would be extremely difficult. That's why They are equipped with a dedicated corrosion protection system to preserve one of the bridge's most critical load-bearing components. The glass exterior curves around the tower before opening into a massive vertical gap running through the building. Through it, the enormous void at the center of Liziba Soho becomes clearly visible. The tower rises around 200 meters and is divided into two halves. A metro tunnel running diagonally beneath the site directly influenced this layout. The main structural elements had to be positioned on either side rather than concentrated in the center. The space between them was preserved and extended through almost the entire height of the building, creating a 194-meter atrium. When completed, it was the tallest atrium in the world. The two halves of the building also gradually rotate as they rise, reaching a total twist of around 45 degrees. Bridges are positioned at multiple heights to connect floors on opposite sides across the central void. The lower levels of Liziba Soho are dedicated to public and commercial spaces, while also connecting directly to the underground transportation network. The roads constantly split apart and merge again. Many ramps overlap at different heights. Some run close to the ground, others curve high above them. Huangjuewan Interchange in Chongqing has 5 levels and 20 connecting ramps. The difference between its highest and lowest points is around 37 meters. This layout allows vehicles to move between multiple routes without forcing all traffic through a single intersection. Chongqing's steep terrain makes the arrangement even more complicated. Surrounding residential areas also limit the available space. As a result, many ramps have to constantly change direction, climb higher, or drop lower to carry different streams of traffic through the same area. Massive spheres are positioned at different heights and connected by vertical columns. This unusual structure forms the Oriental Pearl Tower, rising around 468 meters beside the Huangpu River. The tower has 11 spheres of different sizes. 2 large spheres dominate the structure, while smaller ones continue along the tower and toward the top. The interior spaces are also arranged vertically. Observation levels take visitors to different heights for panoramic views across Shanghai. At around 259 meters, the experience moves right to the outer edge. An observation walkway with a transparent glass floor wraps around the sphere. Visitors can look straight through beneath their feet to the city far below. After dark, a lighting system covers the spheres and the tower itself, continuously changing colors. Originally completed as a television tower in 1994, the Oriental Pearl became one of the first major landmarks to define Pudong's modern skyline. Hundreds of thousands of solar panels spread across the water in enormous arrays. Dingzhuang Floating Solar Farm has a capacity of 320 megawatts, with more than 600,000 panels floating on the reservoir. This layout uses the water surface to generate electricity without taking up additional land on shore. The project is estimated to save more than 530 hectares of land that would otherwise be needed for construction. The site also combines wind power with an energy storage system. These different sources can share the same substation and transmission infrastructure. Each year, the solar system alone can generate around 550 million kilowatt-hours of electricity, while reducing carbon dioxide emissions by hundreds of thousands of tons compared with producing the same amount of electricity from fossil fuels. The roof of Hong Kong West Kowloon Station gradually slopes down toward ground level. Walkways follow its curves, allowing people to climb all the way onto the top of the structure. The massive facade is assembled from more than 4,000 glass panels of different shapes. The roof structure uses over 8,000 tons of steel and is supported by 9 groups of massive columns. The tallest column extends 45 meters, rising from the B3 level all the way to the roof. Most of the station's enormous scale is actually hidden underground. West Kowloon Station covers around 400,000 square meters, with multiple levels dedicated to passengers and high-speed rail operations. Deep below are 15 railway tracks. From here, high-speed trains connect Hong Kong with the extensive rail network across mainland China. During the day, the space between the 2 rows of buildings remains completely open. After dark, the area overhead begins to transform. A massive strip of imagery lights up and stretches along almost the entire street. It's part of the place Beijing, where the sky screen is suspended around 28 meters above the pedestrian area. The screen stretches approximately 250 meters long and 30 meters wide. Its total display area reaches 7,500 square meters. Standing underneath, the imagery nearly fills your entire view overhead. The sky screen is actually made up of 5 massive LED displays positioned end to end. They operate in sync to create one continuous visual surface. Videos and moving effects can run across its entire length. The system is also used for a variety of shows and events. This allows the street below to remain completely open to pedestrians, while the enormous display system is suspended overhead instead of occupying the facade of a building. The roadway stretches across the sea until it almost disappears into the horizon. Instead of running straight, the entire route curves into a massive S shape over the water. Hangzhou Bay Bridge is around 36 kilometers long. When it opened to traffic in 2008, it was the longest sea crossing bridge in the world. Offshore conditions made construction especially challenging. The area has powerful tides, large waves, and is frequently affected by typhoons. Many components were therefore manufactured on land before being transported offshore for installation. Beneath the roadway, a system of piles and piers extends along the entire route. They have to keep the structure stable against strong currents while also withstanding long-term exposure to salt water. Two cable-stayed sections are elevated higher above the water. The clearance underneath allows ships to pass through without interfering with traffic above. The bridge also significantly shortened the road journey between the two sides of the bay, replacing a long detour around the coastline with a direct route across the sea. The 4 glass facades gradually narrow as they rise before converging near the top. Vertical metal fins run from the base toward the summit, making Ping An Finance Center appear even taller and slimmer against the Shenzhen skyline. The tower rises nearly 600 meters, with more than 100 floors used primarily for offices. Below, retail and conference spaces connect directly to the city's public transportation network. Near the top is Free Sky, an observation deck on the 116th floor, around 541 meters above the ground. From here, visitors get a 360-degree view across the entire city. To reach that height, the observation elevators can travel at around 10 meters per second. The journey to the observation deck takes only about 55 seconds. At 599 meters tall, Ping An Finance Center remains the tallest building in Shenzhen and one of the tallest buildings in the world. Massive walls form a complete enclosure right in the middle of a modern city. Xi'an City Wall was built during the Ming Dynasty. Today, it remains one of the best preserved ancient city wall systems in China. The wall stretches for nearly 14 kilometers and stands around 12 meters high. The top is as wide as 12 to 14 meters. 4 main gates open in 4 directions. The outside was once protected by a moat. Numerous towers and defensive structures also stand along the walls. Today, the space beyond these walls has completely changed. Busy roads and modern buildings now extend right alongside the ancient city. More than 6 centuries later, Xi'an City Wall still stands intact in the middle of a city that has expanded far beyond the boundaries it was originally built to protect. After everything we've just seen, the idea of what humans are capable of building may have changed once again. These wonders show that the future is no longer something far away. Limits once thought nearly impossible to overcome are constantly being pushed further by bold ideas and increasingly advanced engineering. And perhaps the most incredible part isn't what has already been built, but the question of how much further humanity can go from here. Of all the wonders we've explored, which one was the hardest for you to believe actually exists? Share your choice in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join us on our next journey of discovery.